It's the grandson of Right Thought. Welcome back to the School of Marvelous Light, little flock. I'm going to use an analogy. Everybody make sure they heard that part before I start talking. I'm going to use an analogy. And I'm going to compare us, including myself, compare us to a dog. Now remember, this is just an analogy. Something that explains something else. So don't get offended. Okay, guys? When I say dog, I'm not talking to say anything derogatory. I'm just speaking of a truth. Because if it is true on one level, it's true on all levels. What does the scripture say about our lives here, little flock? What kind of life do we have while we're in the world? Words like painful come to mind. Words like suffering come to mind. Words like affliction come to mind. Words like stress, hunger, deprivation, lack. Those are all things that you're going to suffer, that you're going to endure in this life. Like on my community page, the scripture I just posted. Did you guys read that from 2 Corinthians? Look at what he's saying there. All the suffering that you endure. Well, what happens when you have a dog and since his little puppy years up, he's been abused. He's been neglected. He has suffered. He's been hungry. He has lacked. What is his personality like, little flock? You know what it is. He becomes to get very skeptical, fearful, unsure. And all those things ultimately mean afraid. He starts to be very leery of people. And since he's been so neglected, he doesn't believe that there's anybody out there that has his best interest or really truly wants to help him because of what he has suffered. So all of you who have tried to rehabilitate an old dog or a puppy that's been neglected or a dog that has suffered, you have to be very patient in the rehabilitation process. But the first thing you do is you offer that little pooch some food. You don't force him to take it. You don't get mad if he doesn't take it because you understand what he's been through. You understand all the times that he's put forth his mouth to take food from somebody's mouth and he's been struck. He's been beaten. He was tricked. He was deceived. You see? An old pit bull that turned into a fighting pit bull. And he's been neglected and he's been bred to be like this and forced and beaten to perform for an unjust master. So there's so many types of things that this fits for, this analogy. So many things that you came from. Maybe you were that pit bull that was made into a fighting dog by the world, by your old master. See? Who dangled the food in front of your face, and as soon as you went to grab it, he hit you with a newspaper and said, "Get your ass out of here," giving you shit. Bad dog. And the puppy tucks his tail. He runs away and he hides and he's... So he grows with this deficiency, no confidence. Doesn't think anybody's out to really help him. Just thinks everybody's out to hurt him. So now, do you understand how this compares to us as the little flock who have also been traumatized in like fashion? Like that dog was? In order to succor us, it requires patience, long-suffering, kindness. Because one thing about that dog, he may do things just out of fear. And you have to forgive him for that. But it takes patience and kindness to forgive. But if you want him rehabilitated, and if you want him to be your loyal friend, you see the potential in him. You see that he's a good dog. He just needs some work. So you be patient and you bear with him. This is all love, what I'm describing. These words, bear, love bears all things. Love conquers all. It conquers that dog's doubt. Your love conquers his fear. You just keep being kind. You just keep loving him. You just keep feeding him. You just keep petting him on the head. Even though he snapped at you, you understand why he snapped. And you forgive him. So if we can do that with a dog, can we not do it with each other, brothers and sisters? Understanding that everything that a person does didn't come from, it's not about us. Like when you found that dog, all the things that he's doing, it didn't come from you. It's not about you. So you got to forgive him for that. For why he feels like he needs to bite your hand when you put it near his food bowl. Learning to trust. Learning to calm down, to feel secure. It takes time. The dog isn't just going to take the baloney out of your hand and instantly be your loyal best friend. It's not going to happen. When you stand up, he's still going to run. He's still going to piss. He's still going to tuck tail. Until he learns to be confident. Until he learns to understand that he has a master who loves him. And so it is with us, little flock. That's why I said, don't be offended at the truths of life. Everybody's so offended at the truth. And if they weren't, then Christ wouldn't have said, have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? That wouldn't be in the word. They hate me because I tell them the truth. You shouldn't be offended at the truth. You should rejoice that you're hearing it because that means you're being liberated. Just like that little doggy. He's being liberated when he got with you. Hey. He's being liberated when he got with you. He just doesn't know it yet. He doesn't know he's safe. He doesn't know he's fed, warm. Not yet, but he will. And over time, when all of those strongholds in his mind are broken down with your love, then he will submit to it. And he will be your loyal friend into his dying day. And so it is with us. When Christ first comes to us and finds us, he finds us broken, naked, he said, laying there without anybody caring for us. See? You see? That's how he found us, and he loved us and cleaned us up and picked us up and fed us and nourished us to health. You see that little flock? Just like that little puppy that was neglected, thrown on the side of the road for dead. Nobody wanted him. They thought he was good for nothing. But Abba saw something in him that mattered, so he took him up. Just like he said he would. I'll take you up, even if your family turn away from you, if your father or your mother forsake you, I'll take you up. And I'll feed you. And at first, when I first start handing you the food, you're going to be skeptical and leery at first. You're used to eating trash. You're used to eating garbage. You're used to eating week-old and day-old foods and old stuff. That's what you're used to getting. So when you see the real good, clean, new food, you don't even recognize it. It's new. So you're skeptical at first. But he's patient with you. Because love is patient. Love is kind. Love conquers all. So just like he talked about the power that we've been given to tear down all those strongholds, that's the strongholds that he's describing. The strongholds inside of your brother, psychological body, that's destroying him. Christ said, I come to give you rest for your soul. Your soul is your psyche, your psychological body. That's what he's going to give rest to. So then you should do the same thing, little flock. Once you see that dog that's been stressed out, Once you see that dog that's been malnourished, skinny, broken down, you got to do the same thing for him. Break down those strongholds that have put him in that state. Those old lies. You're a bad dog. You're no good. I hate you. Get out of here. You destroy everything. You're nasty. You stink. You see that little flock? That hurts the psychological body. And many parents don't realize they're doing this with their little pups. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be rude. But they don't understand that's how they do the little puppies. You're bad. All because he pissed on the carpet, he has to learn. And that takes time for him to learn. And even after he learns it, he may forget a time or two. But eventually he'll get it and it'll become second nature to him. And next thing you know, he'll be asking you to go out. He won't wait for you to let him out. He'll be asking you. You see that little flock? And that's why it's so important that you come back to the essence of Christ's life and his teachings. What is the essence of it? That you love one another. Because we're all like those puppies, guys. We all need a hug, man. We all just need a pat on the back and told that we're good. Why do you think we all want to hear those words from our master? My good and faithful. Same thing you would tell your dog, and many of you. And y'all know it, I have had to do it too. Have had a good dog in your life. A dog you loved that was loyal to you. It was a good friend. And they were gone and they died. And we mourned sore over our little pooches that we loved, that were with us when we were alone, that sat with us when we were sad, that learned how not to pee on the carpet. You know? And you mourn over the loss of that. Not so much the physical body of the dog, it's what the dog represented to you, what he meant to you. So that's why we all long to hear the words, you're good and faithful. Good and faithful are the traits of a dog. That's why he's called man's best friend, because of his traits. Because if you love him, he'll be faithful to you. He'll be loyal to you. He'll protect you. He'll die for you. He longs for you when you leave. He's standing at the door crying, waiting for you to come back. And even that, you have to tell him, don't worry. Just like Christ told us. It's right there in the Bible where he said, sorrow has filled your heart because I'm going away. Just like the sorrow fills your dog's heart when you go to work. Abba's always showing all of us everything that we need to see. He's always showing it to us. If we're willing to sit and open our hearts and let love lead today, that it's about preserving life, guys. Son of Man came to save life, not to destroy it, but to save it. And so if you call yourself a member of the little flock, then you should go about saving life. And not just the life of a dog or a cat or a bird, but the life of your brother. For he is worth more than a whole flock of sparrows, I guarantee you that. He can sit with you better than that dog can and so cure you. He can put his arm around you and say some words the dog can't say. It's not good that man be alone. There were dogs and cats and elephants and every damn thing, but he was alone. So understand that today. We need each other, little flock. It's part of our wellness, brotherhood. How beautiful it is to see all those white teeth, those beautiful faces of brothers in unity. How wonderful it is to see. And in this world, how often do you truly see it? Not the false unity in a music video with a whole bunch of guys standing behind you. Not the false unity of being at the strip club, making it rain in the VIP section. But the unity of coming together to save lives and putting all things in common. That's what pleases the Father. The scriptures proved it. And when you neglect coming into that harmony and that unity of oneness, then you kill yourself, because it's not good that man be alone. And in the end, it won't be anything remaining but Christ and his body. So if you decided not to come into that body of brotherly love, of brotherhood, that's what I'm saying. If you decided not to come into it, then what's going to happen to you? Ananias and Sapphira. You'll give up the ghost because it ain't good. So if it ain't good that you be alone, then what is good? That you be together in unity, that you be one. Now ask Christ if that's what he prayed. Father, let us be one. The same way that I am in you and you in me, so much so that people are pissed off because what they hear me say, they look at my fleshly body. We're so one that I am, and people get mad, and they call it blasphemy, and they say you're making yourself out to be God. Has anyone ever said that about you? Well, then that just means you need to tighten up in your Christhood, because they said it about him. So if you are one, then they should say it about you. The way you talk, you should sound like one with Christ, so much so that they're calling you blasphemy. Who does this man say he is? Christ? What do you think you is? Jesus Christ? It should be like that. It should be so similar that that's what you're feeling. And if you're in your carnal mind, then you don't understand what he prayed for. This is what he prayed for. What's happening right now, guys? The Word is God. The Word. Nothing has to do with what you see. The Word you hear. That's God. That's what was with God. The Word we heard from the beginning. What was the Word we heard from the beginning? Love one another. God is love. So what else would he tell you? So simple when you see it. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The same principle with this dog. If that dog snaps at you because he didn't trust you when you were petting him on his belly, he wasn't sure yet, so he snapped. If you don't understand that all of his trauma and all his pain, then you won't forgive him. You'll say, get this damn dog out of here. He's no good. He is a bad dog. Get the fuck out. That's what you'll do. That's what you'll do. Not understanding PTSD. A soldier that was in Iraq in 2004, 20 years later, still wakes up in the middle of the night hearing bombs and shit going off in his head. He hears a loud sound. He jumps and he panics because he has a flashback of PTSD. And his wife has to be patient with him or they'll separate. She'll say, it's a bad dog. I can't take it anymore. You're pissing in the house too much. Get out. Same principle. And then there are some who bear it with that husband. I'm sorry, baby, this is happening to you. I'm sorry that you have to suffer that. But I'm here, and I ain't going nowhere. You got me. I'll sit here with you. You can cry. You can tell me about it. You can stay silent. You can do whatever you want to do. But I'll be here. That's all, y'all. That's all. Sometimes all we need to know is that someone else cares. Sometimes that's enough. Because we all want to feel like we exist. I am. And when everybody ignores you, when the world rejects you, then you start to feel rejected and insignificant. You see? You start to feel invisible. But though the world does not see you, Abba do. Abba does. And every loving act that you make, he sees it. He sees it. And the only way you can do it, that loving act, is through the power of God. He's the one you're calling out to, asking for patience when you're cleaning up that doo-doo that the dog did on the floor. He's the one you're praying to. Father, give me patience. Help me be more patient, Father. Help me be more kind. Because I'm hot today. I'm about to be late for my meeting. My dog chewed my leather shoes that I was going to wear. The puppy didn't chew them. They're all tore up. Then I went to get my other shoes and he shitted in those. So now I got to be real patient today and not do nothing that I'm going to regret. You get the shoes with the doo-doo, you go carrying them in the room to go clean them. The dog's sitting there looking at you and he's fucking looking out the other way. And when you come in, he puts his ears all down. He's like, oh, you guys know what I'm talking about, what the dog does when he's in trouble. He's like, oh, snap. You haven't even said anything. You're just holding the thing in your hand. He's like, yeah, I know. I know you said no. You said don't doo-doo there. I know. You said do it outside, but that shoe, you were wearing it for a double shift, and it had an extra corn chip smell to it that I just couldn't help but salivate over. So I chewed those shoes up, and then all that leather I ate upset my stomach, and I had to take a dump. But I didn't want to wake you up and you'd see your shoes, so I thought if I dumped in those shoes and hid it in there, then you wouldn't see it. Oh, man, little Pooch didn't mean no harm, man. Cujo didn't mean no harm. He was actually trying to do something right. He just don't know no better yet. But you gonna help him. Ain't you, little flock? Ain't you gonna help little Cujo today? To learn how to live in the kingdom where nothing offends. And then you'll see the results. If you hang with him, if you hang with him and you love him, you'll conquer all of those strongholds, like doodling on the floor, peeing when you come close to him, chewing up your shoes. Those are strongholds, if you understand what I'm saying. If you can relate them spiritually, then you'll overcome all of that. And then you'll live in a place that doesn't offend. That dog will be so clean. That dog will only use the bathroom when you tell him to. That dog won't even spill anything when he eats. He will smell good. Your house will be clean. And it was all due to your love. It conquered all of the strongholds that he had that held him back from being a good boy. You're a good boy. Good boy. That's my boy. And you look at him. Look at him when you say it to him. Look at it, y'all. See it today. So then imagine if a dog wags his tail and he shakes so much he can barely stand when you're telling him he's good and you're petting him on the head. What does your son feel like? What does your wife feel like when you're telling her you're a good wife? Baby, you're a good son. I love you, son. I'm glad I got you, son. I'm glad I'm your father. I'm proud to be your father. I'm glad you're mine. I wouldn't rather have anyone but you. You tell your children that, you tell your wife that, you tell your husband that, you'd be surprised how their tail will start wagging. You'll be surprised, little flock, once you start to speak life out of your mouth and no longer death. Bad dog. But you speak life. You see? So if you were able to hear that today, hope you greatly benefited from it, and I hope you implement it in your life, and that we start to do this for one another. Because this is what conquers all those other kingdoms out there. All those other kingdoms lack the cornerstone. So us as the little neglected flock, the little puppies that were cast out, neglected, like Christ said, come back home. Come back home. And he will wash away all those strongholds. He will wash away all your fears, and he'll love you tenderly, and he'll give you grace when you shit in the house and when you chew his shoes. And he'll bring you back. And he'll say, we'll do it right tomorrow. Get you some rest. We'll get up tomorrow. We'll try again. Just like when you would teach your dog how to heel or how to sit. Sit. He's just looking at you. He doesn't even know what you mean. You push his booty down. Sit. Oh, that's what you're saying. You want me to put my butt on the floor when you say that word. All right, say the word again. Sit. Sit down. Bam. Good boy. Now, he wasn't a bad boy when he didn't sit. He just didn't know yet. He just didn't understand yet. But now that he understands, now he can do it. And as you all know in your own life, it takes time for someone to come to understanding. So be patient, loving, and kind today, and long-suffering like our Father is with us. And you'll see the benefits in the lives of those around you. And they'll rejoice and praise the Father, I guarantee you. Just like that dog wags his tail. Silouan Israela.